welcome to Dan's Balcony Babble. I'm Dan, and today we have a special guest, John, who, John, say hi,
Hello, everyone.
John is a classmate of mine in the grad program at Sacred Heart, and so, this is just a conversational thing. It's nothing, very strict or anything. We're just going to kind of talk about, well, we're first going to start with what first got you into the media program and all? Like, what really got you into media?
What got me into the media program was, so my undergrad degree, as you know, was in theater, and I graduated in 2019, and, I still love theater, but it wasn't something I really had luck finding a job in, and then at some point, it also was something I realized I didn't really want a job in, because I enjoyed telling stories, but I wanted to start telling them as myself, and I wanted to start telling true stories, and that's what led me to the media program.
I feel like we had a similar story there in the sense of I also was gonna be a music major, and by fate I failed the audition, so now I'm here doing media. That was all in part to my friend Edwin, who's kind of working behind the scenes right now, but he really got me into video editing and etc. So yeah, so I guess we both didn't start here, but here we are now.
Here we are now, and it's going.
Yeah, right? So, I know your whole, you're into the political side of things, you're into, and I did want to touch base and talk about that, your thoughts on, not so much your opinion on certain topics or issues, but more so on, how we can go forward with discourse, the issues we're having, and being able to talk to one another about politics, the state of it. And I really wanted to get your opinion on it, because we've talked before. I'm not going to give any opinions or whatever, but we've had some good discussion, I'd say. So I want to get your opinion on how we can all kind of do better at that.
Are you saying it's not going well?
I'm not going to say anything, but,
So yeah, people are having trouble right now talking just about politics in general, and I'm not sure when it started, because you could say, oh, it started with Trump, oh, it started with Obama, oh no, it started with George Bush. Like, I feel like it's always been like this. It's just gotten worse. And for me, I don't really have trouble talking about politics with anybody, whether I agree with them or not, because I don't know. It's just, you have to have a basic level of just respect for each other as humans, and that's the part we've lost, I think. So, when people agree with me, great, but there's not much to talk about. It's the people I don't agree with who I have more to talk about with, because I want to understand why they think the way they do. And even if I don't end up changing my mind, and even if I can't see their point of view at all, I enjoy the discussions, because everyone has an opinion, and that opinion comes from their life experience, which I think matters no matter what the opinion is.
It's interesting. I'd say, I definitely agree in the sense of it's when talking with someone that has the same exact opinion, it gets so, yeah, okay, yeah, did you watch this, a big thing now, people always go around, these gas prices, I'm like, yeah, well, you gotta buy gas. So, what are you gonna do?
We're not stuck in our houses anymore.
We gonna bitch and moan, or are we gonna, move on with our day? But I will say, just being in that confirmation bias, I think that's a big problem. A lot of people are just stuck in that bubble, and they don't want to come out of it and really experience someone else's opinion. I do think that's a big issue. But, I think, again, we've had a few conversations before, and I think I would like to see more of that with other people, and I don't know how you feel about how people could do that. What could get people to actually start having those types of conversations that could be productive?
I mean, this is easier said than done, but people need to get rid of that immediate gut reaction to, for example, oh, you're a Biden supporter, I hate you. Or you're a Trump supporter, I hate you. Like, that immediate gut reaction to someone who voted differently than you, we need to just cut that. And I know that's easier said than done, again, but if that's where you're starting, you're never going to get anywhere. I've had discussions with other close friends who don't agree with me, but we're able to have those discussions because I know them as my close friend. So maybe we need to know each other better as people before we jump to what are your politics. You know, because I've found that a lot of friends I already have, I don't agree with, but I never would have known that until I became their friend. So we need to give each other room to get to know each other as people first before we get right into the politics. Maybe put the politics on the back burner a little bit when getting to know someone.
Absolutely. And I'd say it's also fair to, you know, it's, how do I word this? Always thinking that you're definitely right, I think is a big issue. I'm not an expert in really any of the major topics of politics.
Yeah.
Nobody's an expert on all of them. So I think a big thing is moving past our ego and trying to realize that, hey, you know, this person could bring up valid points. Maybe I don't have all the info on this information, or on this, all the info for this topic.
All the info on the info.
All the info on the info. So I do think that's a big issue, because I don't know the answer to the best way to, you know, run the economy. I don't know the best way for foreign relations. I don't have that answer.
But even if you did, even if you were right, you don't have to attack another person
Right.
if they're wrong. You could, you know, that's something too, is we could just let people be wrong quietly. That's another thing we could do.
That's true. It's very, you know, you don't need to prove that you're the right one.
Yeah.
It's okay if you know, someone's going around on Facebook or whatever. I think that's another thing that has caused
Social media's influence on discourse surrounding politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, has not helped.
hasn't helped at all. You know, I hate this whole, oh, look at this meme, look at how funny these people are.
Well,
Look at
suddenly
this.
everyone's an activist for a week. You know, whether it is, you know, like Black Lives Matter or things happening in Israel. Everyone cares for Facebook and for Instagram for a week. And then once the new issue comes up, nobody seems to care. And so those people are the ones, I don't even know if it's beneficial to try to have a conversation with them, because they're the kind of people that I don't even think they know what they're talking about. They just want to have a point of view because everyone else does.
They copy and paste it onto their story, that, you know,
Yeah.
and they don't actually read into the information, whether it's good or bad at even face value. It's good to just have the general knowledge to know what you're posting about.
Whatever the cause is, whether I believe in it or not, at least
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that's another big thing, and that comes back to just thinking you're right, just always, you know, just having
Loudly.
Well, loudly, yeah, you can think you're right, I guess, but I don't know. That's not how I.
Because, like, I'm not going to lie, I'm not perfect. There's times where I'm listening to someone and I'm like, I think you're crazy and I know I'm right, but I'm not going to fight them. I just keep that in my mind.
Of course, it's interesting, but you know, how do you, as we're going into, you know, the job world with our with our media major and etc. How do you think this? Because you want to be on camera.
I do.
You do. So how do you think this landscape is going to affect your, you know, career? Like not you. Like, you're not going to go out there and start, you know. It's not your opinion necessarily. Like, but I was asking more like, you know, you think this is going to be something you're going to have to deal with a lot. You know, the new.
It's something any up-and-coming journalist is going to have to deal with, but I don't think it so much is going to have an influence on me rather than the other way around. I think up-and-coming journalists are going to have more of an impact on how we discuss politics and how people view the media and journalism. Because if we have a new generation of journalists coming up who are not talking heads that belong to certain channels and they're actually journalists, then people might not hate the media so much.
That is another big thing, the distrust of the media.
Which some of it is fair, but some of it is not.
Right.
You know, because the general public, and I have said this many times in class, there's also a responsibility on the general public to understand what the media is that they're consuming. if you are going to MSNBC or you're going to Fox News for your news, you have to understand that neither of those are going to be giving you just the news without opinion. And some people don't get that, and that's on them. They need to understand that, because you're not allowed to say the media is fake news when you are watching opinion shows. That's your lack of understanding making you have that opinion. And so that's what I'm not okay with, because as someone who's going into journalism and who does plan on being, a real journalist, I wouldn't want to be the enemy of the people. I wouldn't want to be called the enemy for just doing a job that I got a degree in. So yeah, journalists have to do it the right way, but you as the public have to understand what you're watching also.
So I think, I've always said it's always fine, to watch the political comedians. When I was younger, Jon Stewart was on the, just everyone I knew watched him. I watched him. But I think it's important to have a healthy dose of what I'm watching shouldn't be where I'm getting my information from. Like, maybe it is accurate information, but you got to check it. You have to. I think that's a problem. A lot of people aren't, getting it from multiple sources and making sure that it's the accurate info, even if it's a comedy show, But
also, like, one of my closest friends literally said to me, I don't understand the difference between a journalist and a commentator. And those are two different jobs. One of those people, their job is to give their opinion. And if they're on TV giving their opinion, that's their job and that's fine. You can't hate on them for that. A journalist, on the other hand, you can. But if you don't understand the difference, you're not giving a fair evaluation of that person.
Right. That's fair. All right, well, this is going to be a commercial break.
Good, because there's a cute dog over there.
Oh, great. Well, when we come back, we'll keep going on the conversation. Hey, I just want to let you all know that all episodes can be found on either my website or the YouTube page. My website also features more of my other content. And yeah, so let's get back to the podcast. All right, welcome back from the break. Excited to keep going on the podcast going forward. We've got plenty more guests coming at you, but we're going to go back to John here and we're going to talk about the program. And specifically, first, we're going to talk about the internship. And then stick around for the extra show afterwards, which we're calling Off the Ledge. And we're going to talk about the program itself today. But first, I wanted to get into the internship, so I wanted to get your insight on it and how it's been for you.
I mean, it's been a great internship for me. It's gotten better because for the first, so it's an 8-week internship, and for the first, it's 16 weeks. In the first 7 or 8 weeks, I was doing it from home. And, when I was doing it from home, I thought it was great. But when I got to go into the radio station, I realized doing it from home was not as great. Only because now I get to go in and I get to see, the hosts, Tom and Bill, and I sit next to another intern every day. Her name's Grace, and the news director, Terry's there. Sometimes the assistant news director, JD, is there. And it's just nice getting to work with people who are in the same field as me, because in class we're all in the same field, but we're all learning together, so it's nice to be doing the work with people who have done the work. So I feel like I learn from them when I'm there. And it's also just the environment of a newsroom is really cool. It's my first time working in a newsroom, and I wasn't sure how I would feel about it, but I love it. I love that environment, which is something I would not have gotten to experience if I didn't get this internship.
And are you doing what you want to do as like a job?
Well, I never considered radio as a job option for me, but now I do, because I realized through this internship it's something I do like. Like today I got to do a rap about, I just left, what was it about? Oh, it was about, so the radio station covers Connecticut and Long Island, so I was covering a Long Island story today about the utility company there doing a very poor job during the last hurricane season and still not doing well this one. But I got to voice my own story, and so I was on the radio. I think it's actually on right now.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I like hearing myself on the radio, that's cool, and I love recording at the radio station. I love everything about it. So it's a job I could definitely see myself doing now after having the internship.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear, you're getting to do that. I like what I'm doing. I want to go into video editing, and that's exactly what we're doing, I've been working at the International Admissions at Sacred Heart. So, you know, it's been certainly interesting. When I was in undergrad, everything was about writing. You know, everything I did was writing based. Before that, I wanted to be a trumpet player out in New York, probably making no money.
You could still do that if you want.
Oh, yeah, no. No. And I'm glad fate took me this way instead. But it's,
So how did, I mean, you asked me earlier how I ended up in this program. How did you end up here?
so the story went that I was coming out of high school. I'd been playing trumpet since 3rd grade. That had always been my thing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna be a professional performer, and this is gonna be great. And so I auditioned for WestCon.
That's
And-
where I did my undergrad.
Yeah. And they wanted to, you know, I wanted to do this whole big jazz performance program, and I walked in and it was so intimidating. There were hundreds of kids, and they were like, the jazz program is the hardest one.
Was it in the new building also? The VPA, the Visual and Performing Arts
big,
building?
This big building,
Yeah.
yeah. And everyone I knew from high school was in there. So everything was just intimidating. They had a surprise test for music theory, and we had to sight sing when I got in there. I prepared the wrong music. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And so I walked out there, I was like, no chance. There's no chance. And surely enough, I was like, well, I want to stay in the area. Sacred Heart. And I did my audition there, and the band director's like shocked. He was like, "Yeah, let's get you in immediately, and all this stuff." So it was the welcoming aspect. Now they don't have a music major at Sacred Heart. Well, actually they're actually looking into it maybe. But I was, you know, it was the welcoming aspect, but then I went in and I had no clue what I wanted to do. So my friend Edwin introduced me to video editing, and that's how I kind of got my start here. As for grad school, COVID was going on,
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah.
and there was no jobs in sight. So
That's also what played a part in my decision to even get a master's degree, is COVID happened and I had nothing else going on. So I was like, let's go back to school.
yeah, and so I think we wrap up the main podcast here. And if you want to hear about me and John's experience in the grad program, tune in for our special after show. We're going to call it again, Off the Ledge. And yeah, we'll see you next time.